Had we assembled even a few months ago, we'd have had one car over here, another one over here, and a third one over here to flank this duo with us. But with the departure of the Maruti Baleno diesel, the Honda Jazz diesel and the Volkswagen Polo diesel, your choice of diesel premium hatchback is now just limited to these two. To give a quick introduction, the Altroz that marked Tata's entry in the segment is not only the car maker's most accomplished hatchback yet, but literally started its innings with a bang and a subsequent 5-star global NCAP rating. The all-new Hyundai i20 on the other hand hopes to pick up where the old model left off as the most upmarket of the premium hatchbacks. Question is, which one of the two should you go the distance with? What's your pick of the duo and why? Let us know in the comment section below, and while you're at it, do subscribe to the Autocar India channel and hit that bell icon to be notified each time we have a new video up. The i20 and Altroz measure just under 4 meters in length, are very close in width and height, and in top spec guys as featured here, both ride on 16-inch wheels too. The i20 has the longer wheelbase, though that's not the first things your eyes will lock onto when looking at the Hyundai. The latest i20 is styled to stand out, and the look is refreshingly radical or unnecessarily overdone depending on your aesthetic sensibilities. The Altroz is the more classically handsome car. The proportions are spot on, while the slickly incorporated black embellishments under the windows lend the Tata a sporty tipped forward stance. Details unique to the Tata include rear door handles that are incorporated behind the windows. Before we proceed, it's important to bring in that we feature the range-topping versions of both hatchbacks. We'll get to what that entails in price and features in a bit, but for now, here's what the two cars are like from the driver's seat. We'll start with the new i20. The i20's cabin makes a great first impression. The combined effect of the digital instrument cluster, the large and slick 10.25-inch touchscreen, and the sunroof mean this looks like a very premium cabin. That being said, it's not perfect. The all-black cabin theme tends to look a bit drab, and there are also a fair few mediocre plastics such as this one in what is a pricey car. The buttons and toggle-like switches are quite nice though. The Hyundai's dash is also neat, and its low cowl helps give a good view out. It's also helpful that the steering is adjustable for both rake and reach. Open the Altroz's doors that uniquely swing open 90 degrees and you like what you see. You like what Tata Motors has done with the Altroz's dashboard. Now it's contemporary in look with the 7-inch touchscreen placed high up and in your line of sight. But what really sets it apart from me is the clever use of materials. There's textured plastics on top, there's a matte finish for the touchscreen surround and aircon island as such. Lighter materials used lower down, and also a gloss finish on the center of the dashboard. And it all comes together really well. There are some uneven panel gaps such as around the glove box, but on the whole quality isn't far from Hyundai's standard, and that's a big compliment for Tata Motors. Some things could have been better though. The thick A-pillars impede visibility around corners, and the instruments with the squared out analog speedometer and the triangulated needle end for the digital tacho aren't the easiest to refer to. Shifting focus to the rear sections of these cars' cabins, and it's the i20 that amasses big points. An area where the last generation i20 lagged behind rivals was rear seat space, but as you can tell, Hyundai has made amends. There's lots of knee room, and I'm 5 feet 11 inches tall, yet there's ample headroom for someone of my size. What adds to the comfort is the nice angle of recline to the rear backrest. The large windows help the airy feeling inside, and the i20 is also more comfortable for seating 3 at the back. Here's how the Altroz's rear seat compares. The Tata Altroz is a smidgen down to the i20 in terms of rear seat knee room, but it's still generous by any measure. What I also like is that there's lots of room to tuck your feet under the front seat, so you can sit in a good deal of comfort. Still, you don't get the same sense of space in an Altroz as you do in an i20. For one, the windows here are a lot smaller, so you don't get as good a view out. Taller passengers will find headroom limited, and what also takes a bit away from comfort is that the rear seat is a touch too upright. The Altroz does get a flat floor, and that helps middle passenger comfort to an extent, but shoulder room isn't quite as generous as the i20. On airport runs or trips out of town, you'll be able to fit in that little bit more into the Altroz's well-shaped 345-litre boot. The Hyundai in comparison offers a reasonable 311 litres of space. Both cars offer the option to fold down the rear seat backrest to free up more room, but neither gives the added flexibility of split seats. Coming to the matter of equipment and features. Now, it would be unfair to compare the top-spec Tata Altroz XZO to the top-spec Hyundai i20 Asta O, given the huge difference in prices. As the table shows, the Altroz diesel starts at 6.99 lakh rupees ex-showroom Delhi and tops off at 9.09 lakh rupees for this XZO urban trim. Hyundai i20 diesel prices range from 8.19 lakh rupees to 10.74 lakh. Compare the top-spec Altroz XZO Urban to the like-priced 9.15 lakh rupee i20 Sports dual-tone, and you'll find that it's the Tata that easily packs in more for the money. Sure, the i20 Sports has some bragging rights with a larger and nicer 8-inch touchscreen, BMW-like digital instrument cluster, and a tire pressure monitoring system, but the Tata goes one up with its 16-inch alloy wheels, ISOFIX child seat mounts, rear center armrest, ambient lighting, cruise control, push-button start, and auto climate control. You do get the aforementioned comfort features on the range-topping i20 Asta O, featured here in single-tone form, but it's a shame that essentials like a rear wiper and adjustable headrests are only reserved for the top version. On the plus side, the i20 Asta O sets a new benchmark for the segment in terms of goodies, packing in LED projector headlamps, a sunroof, an onboard air purifier, a wireless charger, a class-leading 10.25-inch touchscreen, connected tech, and a great-sounding Bose sound system. ESC and side and curtain airbags are other features exclusive to the i20 Asta O. Do note, while both cars conform to India's latest crash regulations, only the Altroz has been tested by Global NCAP, which awarded it a top safety rating. Here's hoping the i20 gets its own rating soon. Both cars come powered by 1.5-litre 4-cylinder diesel engines, but it's the Hyundai's unit that's more powerful with 100 HP and 240 Nm on tap. Hyundai's U2 CRDI unit impresses from the word go. The Hyundai's 1.5-litre diesel engine is a really likable unit. It's responsive, it's very friendly in its build of power, and you like how it makes the i20 feel very light on its feet. Easing the experience in town is the smooth 6-speed manual gearbox and well-weighted clutch. But there's more to the i20 than just easy progress. There's a step up in power at about 1800 RPM or so, and that power stays with you till about 4000 RPM and beyond. So what you get is a really wide band to play in. And you can have some fun with this engine. 0 to 100 kph takes a brisk 10.42 seconds, and performance is more than satisfactory through the gears too. There's a gravelly note from the engine above 2000 RPM, but in everyday driving, you'll actually be impressed by the levels of engine refinement. The i20 diesel is also an unstressed cruiser. What also comes into play when you're out on a long day of driving is the 6th gear. It keeps the engine running calm and quietly. Now, just to throw some numbers at you, 6th gear at 100 kph on the Hyundai i20 equates to about 1900 RPM. 5th gear on the Tata Altroz at 100 kph works out to 2200 RPM. What you get here is, in effect, a more relaxing experience. The Tata's 1.5 engine in comparison never comes across quite as well-rounded as the Hyundai unit. Efficiency enhancing eco mode is usable, but if you want the most of the engine, of course, you have to be in city mode. However, while the in-gear acceleration numbers that are measured at full throttle are impressive on paper, performance over everyday drives will leave you wanting. Path throttle responses are humdrum, and there's also an unusual throttle lag to deal with. Say when you want to close a gap or you want to make a quick overtake, you press down on the accelerator pedal and there is some hesitation before the engine actually responds. And this is something that you'll have to contend with. You'll also have to be very precise with clutch inputs, especially when starting out or on an incline, but the 5-speed gearbox itself is quite nice to use. Another area where the Altroz trails the i20 is in engine refinement. The Tata Altroz's engine is definitely the noisier one here. You hear more of it at idle and on the move, and when you do press down on the throttle, you will get a gruff note from the engine bay. Things do improve as you build to cruising speed, and fact is, it's on the open road that the Tata engine runs at its best. There's little between the two models in terms of official fuel economy, with an ARAI rating of 25.2 kpl and 25.11 kpl for the i20 and Altroz respectively. While we couldn't put the duo through our fuel runs, you can expect both cars to deliver upwards of 15 kpl in town and 20 kpl on the highway. Each car has its strengths in the areas of ride and handling. True to tradition, the i20 is most impressive at low speeds. The i20 diesel has the more corsetting low-speed ride. It rounds off the bumps and potholes at low speeds better than the Altroz does. Even when you up the pace a bit on something like a concrete road that I find myself on right now, you'll find that the i20 suspension filters out the surface imperfections better than the Altroz. And when you do get to cruising speeds, you'll find that the new i20 diesel doesn't bob around like its predecessors did. The suspension actually feels quite well damped, and straight line stability is pretty good. And what about handling? The Altroz is the more enjoyable hatchback on a windy road. One of the highlights of the Altroz has got to be the handling. The steering is particularly slick, it's light at low speeds and weighs up sufficiently when you're going faster. Resultantly, you get a great feeling of control at the wheel, and this is a car that you'll be happy to push into corners. Grip levels are good, body roll is well contained, and it's also reassuringly calm on hard braking. The Altroz also feels that little bit more sure-footed than the i20 at highway speeds, but if there's a spoiler here, it's the excessive road noise that seeps into the cabin. Decibel levels jump up considerably on concrete surfaces, and this can get tiring over long journeys. At lower speeds, the Altroz doesn't quite round off the bumps as well as the i20, but it does leave an impression when the going gets really bad. The Tata Altroz can feel a bit fidgety in town. The suspension can't entirely smoothen out surface imperfections. But on a really bad patch of road or a bombed out road with lots and lots of potholes, you'll really appreciate how robust the Tata Altroz feels. Now that's a trait that it shares with other Tata models. So which of these hatchbacks will it be? With its eye-catching looks, keener pricing and that stamp of safety, the Altroz will be a no-brainer for a lot of buyers. The Tata's well done on the inside too, makes for a confident highway car and also feels India-proof thanks to its robust build. But for all its strengths, the Altroz also leaves you wondering how much better it could have been. Primarily, it's the powertrain that lacks the finesse that would have elevated the Altroz to the next level. The Hyundai i20 that's smoother and quieter offers a far more polished driving experience in comparison, and this is something premium hatchback buyers will value. The i20's easily got the nicer diesel engine, has the plusher low-speed ride, and is also the one with the roomier and comfier cabin. On the flip side, the i20 diesel is pricey by class standards, and the features of interest are skewed to the higher spec variants. Then again, the range-topping i20 Asta O is simply the best equipped car for the money. The premium money does get you the more premium package. All things considered, buyers on a fixed budget will be content with the Altroz. But if you're open to the idea of spending big for a small car that does it all, the i20 diesel is the one to buy.